This is the Jason Hodge, creator of Mastering Your Media, the series, coming to you today with a rebroadcast of my time on the Billionaire Mastermind Forum, speaking on veteran suicides and our support of our veterans with our upcoming comedy showcase, Veterans Laughs Matter. You can purchase your tickets at swiy.io/VLM. Again, that's swiyo/VLM. Now, without further ado, here's the broadcast.
Good morning, Billionaire family. We're so honored this morning to have Jason Hodge returning to us today. He was with us last month and we were asking for him to come back, but this is a different topic that we're talking about today. Now, Jason Hodge is a consultant, media strategist, and an innovation expert in the corporate space. Jason Hodge is building a legacy of helping organizations articulate their stories of impact to better reach both their communities and ideal marketplaces. He's the creator of the live stream leverage 30-day video challenge, Mastering Your Media training and broadcast series, creator of the nonprofit masterclass, and many other educator-based workshops and trainings. He's also the developer of a set of ELO programs, which were designed as a youth-centered entrepreneurship incubators. And he is also a faculty member with Faithpreneur, with Destiny Designers University, and also a former interim program director at Time Warner Communications, writer, director, producer, and creator of Get In My Kitchen TV. He focuses attention on foundation-focused training and building our current and next generations through service. He believes that everything and everybody has a story, a purpose, and an audience to reach and deliver massive impact. He's also a family man and a dad who spends much of his time mentoring clients, helping them get past their roadblocks, running his media, mentorship, and culinary program, and serving kids and families in marginalized communities in public school districts, and now virtually developing foundational training to help bridge the digital divide for patients and community, and stays focused on launching a new generation of free enterprise business models. We're so excited to have Jason Hodge back in the house with us today. So, family, I know I'm ready. Co-host, I know you guys are ready as well. So I'm going to turn the mic over to you, Jason. Let's go.
Hey, how y'all doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. Hey, I'm so glad to be back. Thank you for contacting me and asking me to come back and talk with you all today. And today it's a little different, the trajectory of this call. Very value-based though. As you all may have heard, and this was for those of you who are on the VIP prayer call, Dr. Stacy NC Grant's VIP prayer call this past Saturday, I did make mention of the Veterans Laughs Matter project that one of my dear friends, Harry the Big Dog Jameson, has put together. And he asked if me and another fellow friend would help him to get the word out and to plan this out, where comedians get together in order to benefit veterans. Now, the statistics show that there are 22 veterans who take their lives every day. And that was pre-COVID. That was before the COVID pandemic happened. And since the COVID pandemic, there has been an overall increase in suicides, all suicides, by 35%. So we don't know what that number looks like for the military now. We just know that it's gone up. And so our focus for this event coming up is to minimize or to stay those numbers and decrease them. And I want to talk a little bit about suicide and the military and what we can do in order to not only lend a voice, lend an ear, but also lend service so that we can let our military know that we do care and that we believe that there's far too little that is done for those who are on the front lines fighting for the freedoms that we hold near and dear. So, on that note, I wanted to dive into the conversation today and to look at a few things. And this is just regular everyday life stuff that we deal with as civilians. And then to look at that as the backdrop of how we can understand better what veterans go through and the deficits that they face because of the mission at hand. I was listening to a broadcast not too long ago, and it was talking about how, as veterans, when you're a soldier, when you're in the military, you are taught how to get the mission done. And in order to do that, there's certain things that you have to learn how to put on the shelves. And your emotions is one of those things. Things happen, whether it be tragedy, hurts, mental hiccups, things that you ordinarily could take time to unpack when you're not in the military. We have therapists out here in the military. Yeah, there are therapists. However, the job of the therapist there is to make sure that that soldier is equipped to get back out and handle the mission at hand. When they leave the military, though, all those emotions that they were taught to effectively stuff, effectively move out of the way, put on the shelf, they come rushing back in. And what they're met with is an inability to properly process the things that they had to dismiss. It's a sad situation, but one that as civilians, we don't really understand, because we'll see the programs that are out here that are available for the military and not understanding the dynamics as to why more of those programs are not being taken advantage of. I was talking to my friend Harry, both Harry and Chris Gloss. They're both veterans, and I'm not. So I had them explain to me, I said, explain to me, what is it that I'm not seeing that other veterans are, that is missing in the conversation when it comes to providing solutions? And that is where my education began. I got a crash course in hearing the voice that I never could hear, never would hear, because I would not be one of the ones that they would speak to because I didn't have the same experience. And so, as a country, not understanding the dynamics of that military personnel, we don't hear what those stories sound like, because all too often, when they have tried to tell us, we get glazed over because we can't relate. We can't relate to seeing one of your friends that you were in the front lines, in the trenches, to watch their back, and not to get too graphic, but have parts of themselves blown off when they saved your life, and having your whole battalion go down and you be the only one surviving. And now dealing with the guilt of, why wasn't I gone too? Why didn't I lose my life as well? Why did I survive and all of my battalion went down? There's that guilt that comes with the survivors that we don't know about. And then, not to mention those who try to find a way to quiet the voices that end up getting into alcohol or drugs or self-medicating in other ways. And because of what you would say, an inability to cope, because those skills were not focused on, that person falls through the cracks. So we'll see them homeless. We'll see them in asylums. We'll see them slip through the cracks and not know why. Well, it's because they didn't have anyone to talk to that they knew would understand. So, with that as the backdrop, we know that, at least I know, that I'm not equipped to understand that life, but I know that there are those who can, and who have taken their comedy as a means to create that bridge that other veterans need. And so they're coming together on this event, Veterans Lives Matter, this coming Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, in order to just add a day where the veterans can step away from the voices that go on in their head, the experiences that they have experienced, the memories, and just be light for that day. I was talking to one of the therapists that I met maybe about a little over a year ago. And we were talking about just all of the things that we as people, not talking about veterans now, we as people go through, and how we don't take enough time to unpack the things that trigger us. And so we go through life not knowing why we're triggered, but what we find is a brick wall in front of us. And that brick wall can show up in a lot of different forms. That can be performance anxiety. That could be the quote unquote fear of success. That could be the fear of rejection that keeps us from taking the next step. And that great business idea that you may have had, you may have all of the components in place. You may have everything except for one seemingly insignificant item, and you freeze. And because of that freezing or that one item that you're lacking, you don't make that next step. And we see that in more lives. As a matter of fact, about 96% of the lives on the planet who are not living the ideal successful life, only 4% are actually achieving what it is that they've been given to achieve. And only 1% are really knocking it out of the park. Well, all of those things are because we don't know how to unpack those stopping points. Those stopping points can show up as this. I was on a call yesterday. It was a mastermind call. It was a goal setting call. And there was a gentleman in there, young man. He was 23, amazing individual. He graduated with his degree as an astrophysicist. And there was one thing that he noticed is that after he graduated, he didn't have the job opportunities. He didn't have people knocking down his door to get him in the door. And so his question was, what do you do when you have goals, but you fail at the goals? How do you recover from them? What is your next step? And so, everybody chimed in and all of that. And I asked if I can speak to that for a moment. And so they gave me the floor. And so one of the questions that I asked him is, was the goal actually your goal? Because sometimes we make goals, but the goals that we make are not really the goals that we want to achieve. So on one level, we make the goal, but what ends up happening is that at our core level, we know that that goal is not really the mark that we're trying to hit. But for whatever reason, maybe it's the pressure of family, maybe it is what you believe that success looks like. So you will set a false goal and go to achieve it. And everything in you is saying, that's not really what I'm here for. No matter how much you try, how much you focus in on achieving that thing, there are things that take place that sabotage the success of that mission. And in that sabotage, you come away confused, not understanding why you weren't able to measure up to that goal that you set. And it's not until you take a moment to sit back and contemplate, what is this really about, that you can start to unpack that that was never really your goal. It was one that was imposed on you based on what you thought success would look like and what you thought you needed to do in order to be accepted by your family, your friends, your society, your own ideology of what success was supposed to afford you. So I challenged him to stop for a moment, as with everybody else on the call. And I said, we don't take time enough to think things through. We don't sit with things long enough to determine if the plans that we are making, the goals that we're setting, the things that we believe we want to achieve are really the things that resonate with us. We are basing our lives on expectations that have been imposed on us, whether it's the things that we saw on TV, the things we heard on the radio, the things we read in magazines or in books, but we never stop to say, is this the thing that I'm supposed to do? So imagine that you've got a person who's gone into the military and they went in because either A, they needed to escape a bad situation, B, they had other military members of their family that were given high respect and they are lacking in that respect. And so they wanted desperately to get that respect or to get that notoriety, to get that feeling of relevance. And so they signed up for the military. And they looked at it from one sense that when I get in here, this is what I'm going to gain from it. I'm going to become a responsible man or woman. I'm going to get out of the gangs. I'm going to get out of the drugs. I'm going to get out of the situation that I'm running from. But I didn't realize that I was running from me. I'm not saying this is for all military personnel. I'm giving you a backdrop of different types of people who go into different aspects of life, different industries, whether it be military, corporate, whatever that looks like. So you have a person who doesn't know who they are because they haven't been given the tools or the skill set to ask relevant questions. And now they move into an arena where they are being told what to do 24/7. And they become very adept at taking those orders. So when they have something that comes up, a mental hiccup, an emotional hiccup, and they're given the order, push that down, soldier. You've got a mission to complete. So they push it down. And they become very masterful at pushing down those emotions. They push down the emotions of connection and community. They push down the emotion of what it is to actually be a living, breathing member of their own family. And they come back on vacation when they have leave as a stranger because they find that the community that they once were very much connected to, they can no longer relate to because they've seen aspects of life that nobody that they know, aside from their military personnel, aside from their family in the military, will ever know about. And so now coming out of the military, having all these experiences, seeing life and a layer of life that nobody else could even fathom, they now have to take that with them day in and day out and try to figure things out. How do I operate as a civilian? How do I operate and become successful when all I've done for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever amount of years or decades that they've been in, I've been told what to do and given a mission to complete. And I've had to plan based on that. If I don't have someone telling me what to do, what do I do? If I don't have someone there to meter the emotions that come up, how do I handle those? I know quite a few veterans. I've got a lot of friends who are veterans. And when we talk, when they let me in enough, I hear how many of them can't even sleep through the night. Every hour to 2 hours, some wake up every half hour. So they now go from having been able to sleep a whole night through prior to their military experience to now waking up in cold sweats with visions of people trying to stab them or visions of them being stabbed. And every day they deal with this. So they get up and they tinker. They get up, they do something to distract their mind. They try to force those emotions and those thoughts and feelings down in order to get through another day. And so when they are met with nobody around them understanding, too often the next set of thoughts is, what if I'm not here anymore? Maybe that'll stop the pain. It's not necessarily that they want to take their life. It's, what if I could do something to get out of this pain? And so when I look at that, and I listened to a really good interview that my friend Harry had with his friend Taniki, who's also a veteran. And she runs a podcast that speaks to veterans' issues for veterans by veterans. And she shared her story on how she tried to take her life. She was a mother out of the military. And that's the first time that I learned how the military deals with emotions when you've got a mission to complete. And she says, many folks said, well, why would you do that? Why would you try to take your life? What about us? You weren't thinking about us. And the fact of the matter is that sometimes the pain is so deep that they can't keep one more thing in their mind. There's so much pressure of the memories and experiences that the next mission at hand is, how can I get away from this? How can I quiet the voices? How can I squash the memories? How can I make the next move that will make this permanent so I don't have to feel this way again? Without realizing that that last move, that last mission that they're going to complete will be a final one. There's no coming back from that. So the job for this event is to give them something to laugh at by folks who they know understand what they're going through, what they've gone through, and to give them food for thought. Hopefully somewhere in there, there's a message that will come out as they hear comedian after comedian and the MC, who's a veteran as well. Hopefully there will be that food for thought that can reach, that one person or that two people, or those many people. So they could say, you know what? Life actually does have some possibilities because I'm seeing these veterans who are here making us laugh. And if they can do it, there is hope. There's hope, and that means that I don't have to follow through on this mission that has been looming internally for so long. There's hope that I can get to the other side of this, even if it's just one step at a time, day by day. I know that I don't have to think in final thoughts. I could just take it a day at a time, knowing that I'm going to continue to breathe, continue to walk this out, continue to connect with people, and I'll look into getting the help that I need now. I'll look into those therapists that other friends that I've had, who served alongside me. They've told me, yeah, this therapist right here is good. Check them out. The aim is to deliver hope. So this is a heavy conversation. I want your day not to be burdened with it, but I wanted you to understand that even though as non-veterans, we don't understand what they go through. We can empathize to an extent, we can sympathize to an extent, but if we haven't experienced it, we don't know what they experienced. We don't know how that impacts them. And so our best bet is to see who does know and what vehicle that they can provide in order to deliver that effective, healthy dose of reprieve to those who have given everything to serve us in so many ways and protect the freedoms that we know, love, hold near and dear to our hearts without them being flushed down the drain in the process. So I'm hoping that this information, that you can digest it, and that if you know any veterans that can use this reprieve, that you can send them to the event, and that they can send others that they know to the event as well. Now, I will give a disclaimer. Uh, and like I told Dr. Stacy and C. Grant on the call, you know, we know that the veterans, not all of them are clean comedians, but we did ask them to do their best, to bring their best, and to keep it as clean and wholesome as possible without diminishing the experiences of the veterans, but letting the veterans who do attend the event know that they hear them, they see them, and that they're there for them. And in essence, we are all there for them, which is why we're putting this event on. So if you have any questions, I would be more than happy to answer them. The URL that you can go to is S as in Sam, W as in Wayne, I as in ice, Y as in yes, .io / V as in Victor, L as in Larry, M as in Mary. Again, that's SWIY.io / VLM. Stands for Veterans Lives Matter.
Thank you. Jason, what does the SWI stand for?
You know, I don't know what the SWI stands for. It's just a link shortener. Instead of giving this long Eventbrite link that nobody's going to remember. So I shortened the link in order to make sure that it's something that people can remember it. So, yeah. But you know, the event though, I'm excited about it. I think that if we did more things like this, just so that when the veterans come home, they come home to an embrace instead of, I remember when Vietnam, I mean, of course, I wasn't, grown or anything like that, but I remember the challenges that the veterans had coming back from Vietnam. They were treated like the dirt of the earth, you know? It was really a sad representation of, they were serving in the way that they were given to serve. And when they came back, they were met with such hatred and venom. And so many didn't recover from that. And I know we have to do better as a society. We have to do better for those who they signed up to serve, and their job was to take the orders. They didn't know all the intricacies, all the nuances of everything that was going on behind the scenes and how they were, being used or not used. They didn't know. All they knew is that they had missions to complete, and we should have done better by them when they got back, so that they knew that they didn't just go out there and lose their lives, because they did lose their lives. Every one of our veterans who go out and serve to protect our freedoms, they will never be the same once they leave. They never are the same again. And even those who have risen up in the ranks, there is an impact, a lifelong impact that happens. And we don't see it as civilians. We just know that if we had those who are close to us who went and came back, we know that they came back different. And not knowing how to deal with that, we know that we're dealing with a stranger who doesn't want to be a stranger, but they are, because there are things that they cannot share with us and know that we will get them. They know that we will not understand what it is that they had to face, the choices that they had to make, the decisions, and how those decisions forever pivoted how they see life, how they see protection, how they see sanctity. All of that's changed.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'd like to open up the lines first to any hosts, if you have any questions or comments, and then secondly to the family. So just go right ahead.
Wow, Brother Jason. Yeah, you definitely unpacked a lot of stuff this morning, brother.
Yeah.
I had a nephew who took his life a couple of years ago.
Mm.
2 years now, yeah.
Sorry to hear that. Yeah.
And he was a vet.
Yeah.
And he was still in the active military at the point that he did this.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, in the family, we saw a kind of depression.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely wasn't something that he would talk about, you know?
Yeah.
You know, there were arguments he was getting into with his wife and
Mm-hmm.
different things that we weren't completely privy to, but, you know, never did we expect him to, or expect that he would take his life.
Yeah.
You know, there's another area that I work with where I do investigations and inspections for government agencies.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the guys that I have in my work crews are veterans.
Mm-hmm.
So because I'm in a position to be able to, I do briefings with them for different projects that we do.
Uh-huh.
And some of the projects that we do are critical projects. You have to be alert and aware in order not only to protect your life, but to protect the lives of the other people that are working in that work crew.
Absolutely.
A lot of heavy equipment. I work for transportation department, so there are trains and electric currents and all kinds of things that you have to be aware of. And I can pretty much over the years have gotten into conversations, you know, because these guys become your friends, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you actually begin to love them.
Yeah.
So you want to try to get to the bottom of certain things, especially with my sense of awareness and with things that I cover, which is the mind discipline, mental discipline pieces,
Mm-hmm.
metaphysical pieces. I have one guy that I'm working with who shared an experience with me, and I'm not going to give a name, so he's not even going to know I'm sharing it with the family right now. But he was in that little mashup they had in Kuwait a number of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And his job was to go in and collect bodies.
Yeah.
And that was his job. And then he described all kinds of things of how to dispose of the bodies and so on, you know?
Yeah.
And he shared with me how it's affected his relationships with, you know, trying to get married, trying to get into an intimate relationship, just going from one person to the next. And, you know, this guy makes good money.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just never gotten to the point where he's centered, you know, in his life to be able to not only forgive himself, but to dismiss all of the memories that he has from that experience.
Right.
You know, that's something that is what you know. It's funny because the suicide piece, first of all, is something that is very. That's something I've been working on as far as the solutions, how to respond to that particular issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done groups in prison with critical thinking, spiritual awareness, conflict resolution groups. And those are issues that come up with people that there's not one answer. There's not just one single answer. See,
right.
You know, I'm grateful that you're doing what you're doing right now to expose these issues to us and to the rest of the family and to the people in your network. I really do applaud what it is that you're doing. And I'm going to reach out to you to see whatever I can do to help. I would greatly look forward to being of assistance in any way I can.
I appreciate that.
because it's definitely personal.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Wow. So that, this is an ongoing discussion. This is something that we got to go into all of the disciplines that we're learning here on the forum, and the disciplines that we've established in our own lives,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to apply that information to this particular issue. This is a problem that needs a solution.
Yeah.
An opportunity for us to be a part of the solution. And again, I'm grateful that you brought this message to us. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. I appreciate that.
Right.
Thank you, Dr. King. Does anyone else have any questions or any comments at all? And we can open it up to the family as well.
Jason,
Good morning,
thank you
Jason.
so very much for go.
Go.
Okay.
Yes.
This is Billionaire Baby.
Good morning.
Thank you for bringing us that information, because many people do not realize the extent of that the veterans, the experiences that they are dealing with once they come back from the military, because they won't really talk about it,
Right.
because they probably feeling that, as a soldier they should be strong and they were doing the right thing, and to say that they have problems because of them completing these missions that they feel were necessary to protect the country.
Right.
They don't get the help they need. I've been a psychotherapist for 20, 30 years, and mostly I work with families and children.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized in order to deal with experiences of this type that are imposed upon you, it takes a lot of work and time, and it's important for the rest of the population to know that our veterans need the help and to provide it for them.
Right.
Thank you for giving us the information.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Yeah,
comment.
thank you, Billionaire Baby. Anyone else?
Good morning. Good morning. This is Billionaire Showgirl here.
Good morning, Billionaire Showgirl.
Thank you for the call this morning. Good morning. My late husband was a veteran who was severely injured during the Vietnam War. As he walked under the canopy of a tree in the forest there, a mine went off and blew away a portion of his arm, a portion of his leg, and the part of him that would make babies. So he was severely traumatized during that war.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought it back with him in the form of a PTSD. That meant that he would wake up in the middle of the night, yelling, screaming, fighting to the death, almost. And of course, that was difficult to deal with. When I asked God to find a love for my life, I asked him to find the person that I could be God's gift to them, and have them be God's gift to me. And I kind of tried real hard to just leave it at that, and God was good. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I never knew anyone, I still don't know anyone more generous and gentle than this man. But he was plagued with this PTSD.
Yeah.
And what you said today about triggers is something that is so rarely mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the things that we had to overcome.
Yeah.
Because he had laid in the canopy for 3 nights and 3 days waiting to be found, severely injured. At that time, the the Viet Cong wore these silky black pajama-like outfits.
Mm-hmm.
So under the canopy of the tree with the leaves in the night blowing back and forth across him, he says he died 1,000 deaths thinking that the enemy was upon him.
Yeah.
So his trigger was black clothing. And then it was style too for people to just dress head to toe in black.
Yeah.
And I like black silky stuff. But once I found out that would go a long way toward keeping him level, I just got rid of everything black in my wardrobe. I never wore it around him anymore. I noticed sometimes when we were around other people who were wearing black that he would soon have a PTSD episode. So eventually I told all of his friends on the side, please, when you come over, please, when we're coming over, please don't wear a lot of black. It triggers his PTSD. And everyone complied. It was really a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But those triggers, if you know, it's a blessing to know.
Yeah.
Work with our veterans on these triggers.
Yeah.
And they're not the only ones with triggers.
True.
So, but that's time for another phone call.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's awesome. I appreciate your share.
Thank you. We will take.
Good morning, Mike check. Hi there, it's Diamond Yvonne. Wonderful, incredible presentation, my brother. Thank you very much for sharing such in-depth information that is so meaningful. I personally I'm of the age that, we lived through the Vietnam era, the Vietnam War era. So many of my associates are Vietnam veterans. And just like you said, they have, for those that actually survived the war and came back home, are severely damaged either in body or in mind or both. And I am very happy to see this Veterans Laughs Matter program, because everybody needs to be able to release and laugh sometimes.
Yeah.
My question is this these comedians, are they veterans themselves so they can, relate because of their own experience?
They are. So we've got, and we're covering all of the branches from Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guards. We're representing those branches, and they're veterans. I believe one of them's from the Air Force, one's a Coast Guard, one's retired Army, I believe. And there's about 5 or 6. I think there's some more coming through the door as well. I've got to check today. I've got a meeting, and a matter of fact, I will be interviewing Harry the Big Dog later on today about the Veterans Laughs Matter. And I mean, his job when he left the military was he was the one that when you saw him coming, you knew it was bad news. That was his job, is to let folks know that their soldier would not be returning to them. And so he got his PTSD from that experience of working that aspect of the military for 2 years. But yes, the majority, if not all of the comedians, the majority of them are veterans. Yeah. And so that's why we wanted to not put too many constraints on them, because there's certain things that veterans can talk about. And no matter how colorful the language would be, we know that they'd be able to reach the other veterans.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And side effects that you mentioned, the nightmares, the fighting in the sleep, the initial mentioned as well.
Well, I didn't really hear what you just said. You're kind of cutting out.
was saying the side effects that these our beloved veterans come home and experience, the nightmares,
Yeah.
waking up fighting in their sleep, even, if their spouse is lying beside them,
Yeah.
they might get sick as well.
Exactly.
I have friends who are married to veterans as well,
Mm-hmm.
just like Billionaire was. And it's a very delicate line and it's a very unusual lifestyle to have to endure, but it's a lifestyle of love, no doubt.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if there is not some type of, with all of our, we're so advanced, we go to the moon and back, shooting off rockets. Is there no deprogramming for our veterans when they come back to help their mind? I mean, an official government done constant deprogramming so they can re-enter society as best they can to, become back to some type of normal lifestyle. Have you ever heard of something like that? I have not, never looked into it.
Yeah.
But that would be something that is very needful.
It is definitely needful. And when you consider that the way that people hold trauma, we all hold trauma in different ways. And so because we're not a monolith, we're not like a one size fits all situation, then the veterans that are coming back with all of these traumas, that unpacking is so individualized. And so you would need a very skillful, anointed person to understand how to get in there, and that is not something I believe that the government per se is equipped to do, because when the planning and the process of making a soldier is underway, the planning of what is going to happen after that has not been taken into as much consideration as it should be, to the point where there is actual implementation on a large scale. Because I've been hearing more and more. I mean, I know quite a few veterans who deal with PTSD on a daily basis. A good friend of mine, her brother, he'll wake up fighting, and he's in his 30s, his early 30s. And this has been for the past, 15, 16 years, almost 20 years that he's been dealing with this. And this is not an uncommon thing, and because of that, I don't know that they have put the kind of resources behind it. And as far as I'm concerned, and this is my personal soapbox here, but when you serve this country as a veteran, I don't believe that veterans should have to worry about anything once they come home. I think that their lives should be taken care of, and we don't do enough in order to make sure that they don't have to struggle once they get back. It's like they go, they serve, they give their lives over, and they come back to a trash can. They've been thrown away. And then they are expected to tough it out. And then they put the expectations on themselves. I got to tough it out. I'm military. I know what to do. I push it through. But they're stuffing those emotions again. They haven't decompressed. They haven't debriefed. And they've not been given a safe space to debrief in. And because everybody is not a one size fits all, that debriefing for one, they may be able to debrief in a short period of time where others may take years and years. And if the resources aren't set aside in order to mitigate the challenges that they are facing, in order to make sure that they bridge properly, that they reconnect properly or reinsert properly into society, they have a hard road to toe.
Well, I just want to say thank you for that presentation. It was wonderful. If you could repeat your full name and your, I wrote down your that website. I'm looking at it. Veterans Lives Matter, and I'm definitely going to refer some veteran friends of mine
Awesome.
to it.
Awesome.
And what is your name again, my friend?
My name is Jason Hodge.
HODGE.
Yeah.
Thank you, brothers, for your program that you're doing.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you all for your input. And you could also connect with me at jasonhodge.biz. That's .biz, jasonhodge.biz. But yeah, I want to see more solutions for veterans, more caring for them instead of them just kind of slipping through the cracks. Yeah.
I agree, Jason. Thank you so much, everyone. We are at the top of the hour, and so we're going to ask for our closers. And thank you so much, everyone, for all of your comments. The last thing, Jason, I would just like to ask if you have a post, like either on Facebook or something, that we would be able to share quickly, because the people we would be sharing with would not have the advantage of hearing your whole presentation. So
Absolutely.
Do you have a post that we could possibly share?
I do. And a matter of fact, what I can do, I believe that I'm in the BMF community. I can go ahead and post it with the copy with that post, and it'll have the link in there for them to be able to click. Okay. And if you guys can tag those that you know in that post, then that'll alert them so that they can plug in to that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Good morning. Good morning, Billionaire family. This is our multi-billionaire. That is a very, very serious topic we have this morning.
Yeah.
With this gentleman, because not only this is a service is needed. This is because I've been hearing about a lot of the veterans, and I heard everybody on the broadcast talking, because he's right. When they come home, it's like, they just being abandoned. They just, nobody, it seems like, the government don't even care. Forget about us.
Right.
It's the government, has to care. Because I've seen them, how they lose, they come back to nothing. I mean, their house, they don't even have a house, their house, their family members, they left, because these people leave their wife and their kids.
Yeah.
And to find out, their house is in foreclosure, they lose their homes, and the government is not doing anything. So it's a lot is not being talking about what they're going through, and then to come back to be suffering,
right?
But like you said, with nightmares, they can't sleep, and then to find out a lot of them to be sleeping on a bench in a park, and then getting arrested.
Absolutely.
Because so and now here's the craziest thing. Now this is the veterans let's think about the veterans, the ones who are coming home in a few months.
Yeah.
Look what the kind of problems they're going to be dealing with.
Cyclone, are you there?
Half the homeless.
I am, and actually I was just jumping in. We are over time. We actually are really starting to try to close on time, and we actually have a meeting scheduled right now. So we definitely appreciate all the comments. We really appreciate Jason jumping in, and this was actually very, very last minute so that he swooped in and saved the day, because I knew he had this amazing project that was getting ready to happen. I thought it was so important that we share information in regard to that. Our veterans definitely are not getting enough attention, and we as civilians, I know that myself and many others, we hadn't wrote this topic before, and there's definitely more that we can do. So we appreciate everyone's conversation this morning. Jason, you're definitely welcome to drop by again this week, so we can also, share a reminder, and that way, we can also announce it throughout the week prior to the event. We do hope that others will make a purchase for the tickets. The ticket prices are $5, $10, and $15. Is that correct? Do you want to
That is
say
correct.
anything before we close out?
Yeah, that is correct. And if you also want to gift a block of tickets to folks, because we want to get the word out and we want to get more folks in the door for this. And there's a portion of the proceeds that are going to 3 organizations that are working directly with veterans. They're doing great work. And so we want to do our part in helping them do better work as well. So yes, so definitely.
We all could use the laughter, everybody.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Not just the
veterans.
But, a lot of folks that need some laughter right about that.
Exactly. So share it far and wide. I appreciate that.
I want to give a replay message also because Jason shared so much amazing information this morning. For anyone on the line, if you're a new caller, by pressing *6, that way, give a shout out as we're closing. We definitely would love to hear from you. Each day, we're here Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The replay for this message is 712-432-1085, same PIN 915-358#. When you invite people to the broadcast, make sure you alert them if they have Metro, PCS, or T-Mobile. Some of the cell phone providers have blocks in regard to conference calling. The bridge line they can dial through is 425-535-9125. Once they dial that number, they do need to enter the conference call number and the pound sign behind it, then the PIN number and the pound sign second time. Share this message, and as Jason said, when he posts that event, everyone can make the effort to post it on your personal page as well. So that way, we definitely want to do all we can to get the message out. We appreciate each and every one of you. This is Karen Priestley, Typhoon Page, reconnect.com. Turn it back over to you, Billionaire Happy. Let's go. Make it a great day.
Y'all have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Billionaire Baby, can you call for the closers, please?
Yes. Thank you, Jason.
All right, you all have a great one. I'll see you later.
To grab your tickets, make sure that you go to swiy.io/VLM. Again, that's swiy.io/VLM.